Today, we will be going through how you can use MatDeck's PyTorch AI Bench to create a PyTorch AI model with only a few clicks and without the need to write a single line of code. As you can see here, this is the PyTorch AI Bench, and it can be found in the Toolbox ribbon. The PyTorch AI Bench button should be found here. However, if it is not, all you need to do is click Manage Buttons and then tick it here. If it is already ticked, that's fine, it will appear. But if not, once you tick it and click OK, the PyTorch AI Bench will appear here. Once you click on this button, the toolbox will open up and it will give you three options: a 1-layer model, a 3-layer model, and a 5-layer model. For this instance, we will be using the 3-layer model, and as you can see, once you click on the 3-layer model, it prompts the 3-layer PyTorch AI Bench. Creating the model has two main parts. The first is the data, which you will be using to train the model, and the second is the configuration and customization of the model itself. As you can see, you will not need to write any code, you will simply need to click and choose options throughout all of the PyTorch AI Bench. The first thing you will need to do is choose the CSV file which you will be using to input your data. To do this, all you need to do is click Select File, and from there it will open your File Explorer and you can choose the CSV file. Once you have chosen your data file, you can choose to hot encode the data, which will transform it into only zeros and ones. This is perfect for if you are using data which contains strings and things which can't be numerically processed. You can also use data scaling to normalize the data. Now, these are the two most important parts: choosing which of the training data will be input data and which of it will be output data. The input data is essentially your x coordinates, while the output data is essentially your y coordinates. For the input data, you only need to say which columns you will be removing, and for the output data, you just need to say which columns you'll be keeping. You can choose which rows you'll be using for both of these options. However, if you leave it blank like this, it will just use all the rows in the CSV file. The second part is the layers in the model. Here, you can customize the number of neurons as well as the activation type of each layer. However, you need to make sure that the output layer has the same amount of neurons as the amount of values it will be outputting. For example, with this dataset, we are expecting 2 y coordinates or 2 data outputs for each row of x coordinates or each row of data we have. So we need to make sure that the number of return values / neurons is changed to 2. You can customize all of this for every single layer. And then after you're finished with all the layers, you can customize general options for the models, such as the type of optimizer, its learning rate, as well as its momentum. And then finally, the fit is essentially the most important part of the AI model. Epochs is the amount of training cycles you will be training the model for. You don't want to have this number too high, as you can overtrain the model and make it worse at predicting new data. And then the validation split is also used to take out a chunk of your data input and keep it for training and testing separately. So once it trains, in this example it will train using 75% of the data, and then with the other 25% it will validate and test the predictions from that AI model on the new data to see how accurate it is and to ensure that it is not overtrained, and also so you can identify overtraining. And then finally, model data, you have the name of the model and also what you will be using to determine how accurate it is. You can choose accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, or AUC. And also loss shows the data loss or how inaccurate the model will be. You can choose MSE, MAE, a couple of cross entrophies, and also hinge. And once you do all that and have your data in, you can use the generate button to create your PyTorch AI model. Now, I've added our CSV file as well as added a scaling method, said which columns to remove. What's important to note is that you need to add commas in between each column. So the 2 columns we will be removing is y1 and y2. And the 2 columns which we will be using for our output or y coordinates is y1 and y2. I've also changed the number of epochs, the batch size, as well as the learning rate. Now all we need to do is click the generate button, and the form will then be disabled until it finishes generating our form. Once it finishes generating our form, the form will then be enabled and we can use it again to do things such as make predictions. Once it has finished generating our AI model, we can actually use the bottom part of our form to predict data and insert that data prediction into our document. The first thing we will need to do is to have a variable which can either be in MatDeck script, Python script, or the MatDeck document. To do this, we can create a variable such as data, and then we can also use other MatDeck features and toolboxes such as our Excel toolbox to import data into our variable. Then we can see we have imported one set of data into our variable. And then the last thing, which is the most important part, is we need to define the variable as a global variable. And this is done by typing tg and then underscore and then the name of the variable. So for example here, tg underscore data. And then we can directly import this variable from MatDeck documents or the MatDeck script into the PyTorch AI. Now we just need to head back to the PyTorch AI bench, select import MatDeck variable and refresh so that the form can search for any new variables. And as you can see, we have tg data here. For this prediction, we're going to be using the same data scaling and the same model. We won't, however, be using the same data file as we are directly importing a MatDeck variable. If you choose to use the same data file, the start row and end rows will automatically then be enabled and you can choose which rows you'll be using for the prediction. The same goes for if you're using a different data scaling. All you need to do is change the data scaling method and also the same model. Now all you need to do is click predict, and as you can see, it instantly predicts it. And now we can directly insert these results into MatDeck. Now these predictions can be inserted into the MatDeck document, script, or a Python script. Since we are using a MatDeck variable, I will insert this into a MatDeck document. And to show off MatDeck better, I'm going to directly insert it into text code. As you can see, here we have canvases. Now to insert text code, all you have to do is go to programming and select text code. Once you are here, you can insert the variables. To do that, we just need to make sure this is double clicked, go back to our form and then click insert. Now as you can see, it has inserted our prediction with our two output coordinates y1 and y2. The same can be done using a Python script. Here is a basic example in which we are reading data from a socket in an IP address, and then we will be using this data in our form to predict new values. So then all we need to do is head back over to our PyTorch AI bench, and if we have used any other predictions before, such as our MatDeck variable, we need to untick that, and then we need to tick import Python variable, and then we actually need to type out the name of our variable. So in our Python script, its name was data. Then we need to select the file in which our data is held. So to do that, we just need to click this button and find the file using the File Explorer. Once we have chosen the file and the variable name, we need to head over back to our Python script, and we just need to select which line we would like to enter our variable. For example, line 16. And once we do that, we just need to go back to our form and click insert. And as you can see, the prediction has been directly inserted into the Python script with the correct Python syntax. So essentially, the PyTorch AI Bench allows you to easily create PyTorch AI models without the need of a single line of code and just a few clicks. And it then allows you to use those models, or models you have created before, to predict new values using either MatDeck variables or Python variables, as well as CSV files, which are commonly used in data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And then once you have predicted this, it allows you to insert these predictions into a MatDeck document, from which then you can utilize over 1600 MatDeck functions, various toolboxes, and easily visualize the data. You can also use it in MatDeck script or in Python script, which really allows you to channel your inner coder and utilize it